Hello, with me today I have a judge and an ambassador who combines the experience of academia and business. Her work crosses a number of sectors. She has a particular expertise in communications, media and technology, alongside providing coaching and leadership services. We're very proud, I'm very proud to have as an ambassador and a judge for the Asian Apprenticeship Awards, and I welcome you today, Sally Eaves. Hi.
Pleasure.
Really appreciate you
Pleasure.
coming today. Sally, obviously there's a lot for us to talk about.
Indeed.
So many things you're involved with, so many projects you're involved with. If we start off with possibly your involvement with entrepreneurship, the sort of stuff that you do in terms of innovation, entrepreneurship. There's a phrase that we were talking about earlier on, intrapreneurship.
Absolutely. I'm involved in a range of initiatives that help young entrepreneurs in particular, but also people of all ages and particularly underrepresented groups and women getting into different careers. But intrapreneurship is very much at the heart of a lot of things I'm doing. So I'm Director of Innovation and Entrepreneurship with Intrapreneur International, and that does a lot of work in the UK, but also on a global scale. And we're doing a lot of work in Bahrain, for example, and Malaysia as we speak. So that's looking at how we can make organisational cultures more entrepreneurial.
In terms of entrepreneurship, what does that mean, Sally? In terms of what does an entrepreneur mean?
It's basically entrepreneurship is effectively taking the characteristics, the attitude and the behaviours of an entrepreneur, a startup organisation, and allowing that creativity and innovation to happen in SMEs and in corporate settings. So it's taking it inside the organisation on a larger scale, effectively.
Okay. Where did that sort of derive from? I mean, do we have any? Do you know much about it in terms of? Obviously, I'm trying to do some research on it, and there's some fantastic videos out there. And Richard Branson's name came
up. Indeed. A real inspiration to me, most definitely. So yes, a lot of people are now starting to talk about entrepreneurship, which is fantastic. I've also done research in it, which is really interesting as well. But it's something I believe can make a difference both in the corporate business setting and equally more broadly in terms of social entrepreneurship as well. So I'm involved in a lot of initiatives related to the social global goals, for example, where there's a lot of opportunities to do social good, combining business, education and technology skills.
Well, you work with a lot of global sort of organisations, international organisations.
I do, yes.
If you just tell us a little bit about some of the involvement that you have there as well.
Various. So one would be the British Council. So I do a lot of work with that organisation, both in the UK and in developing countries in particular. And a lot of that work does involve entrepreneurship. And equally, I'm now an ambassador for an organisation called Inspiring Rare Birds. So I'm going to be their first sort of non-Australian ambassador. And that's all about encouraging women into underrepresented careers, for example, in technology and IT.
I mean, talking about technology, I'm a technology enthusiast. I mean, we're on some sort of platform together as well.
Yes, indeed.
We share a community, or we're part of a community that talks about technology, fintech, future tech, and so forth. I mean, just share that with us as well in terms of some of the changes that are happening in the world of sort of AR, VR, AI. Those are sort of terms that we tend to use.
Absolutely. Well, I'm part of a new partnership called Future Tech Consultancy that's helping people to start up and also scale up their business in all of those sectors. It's where we're moving, and it's something I've got a lot of hands-on experience in and I'm passionate about. So yes, and I've also done some work, for example, with Edinburgh University, looking at how we can use VR in organisations to immerse, for example, to help people empathise, put themselves into a different position. So I think it's a really, really exciting area, and it's literally the way the world is moving, and it's something I really want to be part of and help move that forward.
I mean, you mentioned one of the universities. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of the universities that I've sort of come across that are interested in.
Absolutely.
In sort of the incubation units, entrepreneurship, and so forth. I mean, what's your sort of experience and thoughts in terms of the whole higher education sector getting involved with business?
I think it's absolutely critical. So one of my roles, I work with the British Academy of Management, and I'm an industry academic lead. So it's all about bridging those gaps. And I spend a lot of time in incubation spaces and also enterprises called Fab Labs, Hack Labs, that kind of thing. And that's all about bridging that gap between learning in a higher education setting or in further education and what people are doing in practice. I think they're fantastic. So creative spaces like that, I think, are the way that we're moving. Partnerships are critical.
Are these just for university students, or this is for anybody? Is it like a seed camp I take it?
There's different ones. So for example, I'm going to if all goes to plan, going to Geneva and something called a food hack, which is really exciting. So again, it's combining sort of business innovation skills with people with design, creativity, and addressing it towards a theme. For example, in this case, food sustainability. So yeah, they're really, really exciting, but it doesn't have to be just for university students. It could be for anybody in the community, any age, and cross-sectorial as well.
Right, so if anybody's got an idea which is sort of technology-based, maybe they could sort of contact the local university to see if there's any
Absolutely, yeah, and there's a lot of information online, and I'm also running, for example, on Global Entrepreneurship Week, I'll be announcing some events, for example, a specific hackathon that's looking at issues that we've experienced recently around, for example, the refugee crisis.
Right.
So I'm really passionate about bringing globally business, education and technology leaders together to help come up with solutions that are really practical and hands-on.
Right.
So one of these would be a hackathon challenge over a 24-hour period.
Right. Okay. I'm also aware of the fact that you do a lot of mentoring as well. You're a business mentor as well. If you touch a little bit about that in terms of your involvement, in terms of mentoring, in terms
that is something very, very close to my heart. And I think whether you're doing apprenticeships or going through a higher education or further education route, identifying role models that can really show you a trajectory of where you can be, can pass on your experience. And I think the other joy about being a mentor is that you're always learning yourself. So it's not just, it really is a two-way street. So I think it's absolutely fantastic. So I'm involved with, for example, Mosaic, that's from the Prince's Trust, also the BISCENE programme in the Midlands, and a global initiative called Innovate 50/50 with an American government. So again, it's all about encouraging particularly underrepresented groups into different sectoral areas and inspiring people and helping people to progress.
So not just that, but there's a lot of work that you do for charities and trustees as well. So
yeah, absolutely. I'm particularly, because of my background, I lost my dad in particular, cancer charities, leukemia, very, very close to my heart. So I do a lot of work with something called Chris's Cancer Community. So I did a skydive last year as well for brain cancer. So that was something that's really, really close to my heart. And in particular, I'm a trustee for Challenge Cancer through Adventure, and we're really grateful because we're up for an award in a couple of weeks' time, actually. So we're really chuffed with that.
You're making me feel really inadequate here.
No, not at all.
All of these projects and all of these things that you're involved with. I mean, that's fantastic. I mean, what sort of made you go into this? I mean, you just tell us a little bit about your background and so forth, and just so the fact that we can sort of picture it together. And,
Well, I'm passionate, as I said, about charity, definitely, and in community initiatives, and also things to do with employability. So because I think things that happen when you're a child as well. So like I lost my dad when I was very young in particular, and he really was my role model. And I want to aspire to be like him, and he was very much like that. And he had a real strong work ethic, and he did a lot of activities in the community, and I've kind of modelled myself on that. I love trying to make a positive difference, really. I think it's all about being authentic. I love engaging with people and trying to see how you can take someone and guide them, facilitate somebody going from here to there. And I think that's what it's all about. I'm really passionate about that.
Okay. I like talking about UK and generally in terms of obviously in terms of the where the country is on a global scale. I mean, I've got my own thoughts as well in terms of, obviously I think we're very pioneering in terms of as an organisation. You're working with international sort of people, international organisations. You've got a lot of exposure outside the UK. You mentioned obviously the Australian organisation you're involved with, but there's a lot of other projects. I mean, how does the world perceive firstly UK in terms of technology, innovation, British people? Just share us your thoughts in terms of your experience and knowledge.
Well, I'm very positive about where we're going, and I think with the right mindset, I think literally I look at it that barriers are coming down. I do a lot of work with my own consultancy in online media, for example, and again, I think that's classic examples really of that you can work globally. And I think the UK's got a fantastic reputation, both in higher education, in quality of research output and productivity in terms of business. So everybody I'm speaking to is very positive about working.
Are we seen as sort of innovators, entrepreneurial? Or so?
Absolutely, particularly in the areas going back to the work in VR, AR, blockchain, etc. I think we're leading the way in many areas.
Are there some good examples where we've made some impact in terms of that sort of sector, VR and AR and so forth? Is that?
Yes, particularly in crossing over, I think, because traditionally when people think about VR and AR, you think about entertainment industry, gaming, that kind of thing. One of the areas I'm particularly interested in is taking VR and AR into other settings, into the workplace in particular, and how you can experience something very differently. So I think there's a lot of learning and development and training opportunities in there that are really quite interesting, and also in terms of payments.
Yeah.
So one of the things I've been doing some work on as well is more on the payment side of things, which is going to be literally transformed in a 12-month period. So I've done some work with some, also looking at from the banking side of view, because that's changing astronomically.
So this is not just about mobile payments. This is a different level.
Yes, absolutely. And I think one of the keys I'm always working with is how you integrate these. There's fantastic opportunities there, but from a business point of view, or whether you're a social enterprise or whatever you're doing, you need to think about how this all works for you. Because the rate of change is so high, the integration is key. So you know where you're going, and you can pick the bits that are going to work for your particular organisation and thinking the next stage ahead. So you're always using foresight really to sort of anticipate.
Okay. But you mentioned yourself, the pace of change, the rate of change is very, very rapid.
Absolutely.
If you talk about the actual average sort of university length, 3 years and 4 years in some cases.
Yes.
Is that still relevant? I'm trying to put you on the spot a little bit.
That's okay.
But not too much. How relevant is that now in terms of as a way of learning?
I think the way of learning is the critical thing. I think one of the things that's important to me is choice. So one of the reasons I wanted to get so involved with the Asian Apprenticeship Awards is I think that awareness of choice is critical. Education is empowering. The old adage, knowledge is power, is true, but it's the way that knowledge is applied. So apprenticeships are fantastic, for knowledge translation, experiential learning. I think that's amazing. But equally, I think within higher education, there are ways to help people learn differently. Teacher as facilitator, and I know a few examples of universities that are trying to move into a far more action-orientated approach, and to get people out there, whether it's a community setting or a business, to do some hands-on experience within that. I also think degree apprenticeships are a very interesting route, a real hybrid opportunity, and I think we'll see more of those.
A lot of the universities are involved in degree apprenticeships.
Absolutely,
but just going back to the way the universities are currently teaching, you're saying that it's more sort of experiential learning, it's more sort of on-the-job learning as well. There's a lot of...
I think particularly with the tuition fees that have come in, there's far more student demand in terms of making this learning personalised. So a lot of the catalyst for this is from students and parents and other people themselves, that changes are potentially required, and it's making sure you've got the assessment that matches the style of teaching as well. So
in the old days, did you say when you were on a university course, I read X amount of subject, or I read this or that. So it's less of the reading now, and it's more in terms of actually the experience and going through that.
That's where, I can't say that's always the case, but I certainly think we're moving in that direction. And I think the enthusiasm and I think the demand, frankly, is there from the student base for that to be the way to happen. And I know, for example, in the Midlands, I know of a few MBA courses as classic examples that are now being reworked completely, and it's all about action learning and experiential reflecting on your experience of the process rather than purely the reading. So I think that we're getting a more balanced approach. I think we're moving in that direction, but I think possibly more work needs to be done. Okay.
Let's talk a little bit about apprenticeships. Obviously you've been kind enough to support the Asian Apprenticeship Awards. Really appreciate your support and your guidance as well in terms of some of the things that we're looking at currently, and also we'll be looking at in the future. Where do you stand in terms of apprenticeships, Sally, in terms of your view, positive, negative? Obviously it's going to be positive because you're part of it, but just share your views with us.
Well, I am very positive. I think, as I mentioned earlier, I'm really keen to spread the word really about that there isn't just one right way to develop yourself. I think it's all about really thinking about where you want to go, where your passion is, whichever route you take. I think we all learn best and achieve the most when we're working in areas that really appeal to us and we've got a genuine interest there. And I know in the BME community we've got an underrepresentation in apprenticeships. So I'm really keen to promote the fact that these are all equal routes and there's not one size fits all. So I think that's really important. I think having more role models that people can aspire to and can put yourself in that place and think, well, I can do that. I think that's fantastic. So I think the awareness that these awards create is brilliant for that.
Any sort of words of advice for a young person starting off in their sort of career in terms of, obviously a lot of change going on, pace of change as well.
Absolutely.
And if they were looking at, say, for example, from a technology perspective, is there a sort of a routine? Is there a sort of careers advice? How would somebody go into that sort of sector if they're interested in technology?
I think one of the most critical things is to literally to plan early and take your time with this. Yeah. And in terms of there is options within higher education, and visiting places, speaking to people is absolutely critical. But equally, there's some fantastic apprenticeship options too. So take your time, evaluate what the opportunities are, and really speak to people. Try and find a mentor. As I mentioned earlier, some of the organisations that I'm involved in, there will be people in your local area that are willing to talk and listen, and particularly the work I do on Twitter in particular, I'm often having conversations with young people on that. I love it. It's a great way to, so don't be afraid, talk to people, ask questions, and there's an awful lot of people out there really willing to listen and to help you out. So take your time and evaluate the options. Don't just rush in.
Don't rush in. Okay.
No.
A lot of research opportunities available.
Absolutely, yes.
So there is information available.
There's information out there, and one of the things I'm doing with Global Young Asian Entrepreneurs is that we're putting together a portal, and as part of this, there'll be a lot more. We're hoping anyway to inspire people to look here as a source really to understand different routes into different opportunities. So we're really keen to publicise some of the activities that are going on, and the hybrid ones as well.
Okay. Obviously, we've discussed in terms of all the sort of programs you're involved with, all the sort of organisations you're involved with.
Yep.
Where's the future for yourself, Sally, in terms of next year,
Okay. Well, really excited as well as the work I'm doing there. Obviously, I've got my own consultancy in my own name, so that's doing a lot of work with helping people start up and scale up business, business development work, and obviously online media strategy. That's something that I'm particularly interested in. And the event side of things is something that I'm really excited about. So I'm launching a series of events at the House of Commons, and they're all around technology sphere in particular, but opening up access to opportunity for women in tech, girls in coding, other underrepresented groups, and one of them is very much social enterprise based, and looking at, for example, the refugee crisis and how we can match up from a recruitment point of view, people with displaced, who've been displaced, how we can match up talent to open-minded organisations that have got recruitment needs, and a mentoring scheme to match young people in different countries. Because I think that's really, really important to have people on the like-minded age and experiences who can help people settle. So there's lots of activities around that, which is something really, really close to my heart. And all these things are going to be really, global streams so that everybody can take part. No barriers to access. And we've got some great organisations that will help to sponsor this, so that it won't be ticketed. It won't be kind of the sage on the stage. It's all around the participants.
Sally, yes, I've got a passion and interest for technology, and I see you as the forefront of technology. You're involved with all these programs and projects, AR, VR, all of these sort of acronyms that we tend to use. Absolutely. Just tell us a little bit about your thoughts in terms of, with your involvement and some of the things that are taking place in this sector.
Absolutely. It's something I've been involved in for many years, and really, really excites me. And I'm passionate at helping people start up and scale up their businesses in the forefront of technology. So one of the things I do, I'm an advocate for Tech London, which is really promoting London as a city of excellence in innovation, and supporting young entrepreneurs in particular. Something I'm really passionate about, and equally doing the same thing in major cities such as Birmingham. So I think it's really important to hold events in major cities like Birmingham too. So that's something I'm really keen to do. So on that note, during Global Entrepreneurship Week, which starts 14th of November, I'll be announcing a big initiative of something to be held in Birmingham. Super excited about that. And one of that's more business related, so it's encouraging employability skills and helping people make a difference in those sectors, and really giving people the skills to take that forward in the emergent technologies. So you're right, VR, AR, AI, blockchain and fintech in particular are going to be the heart of everything around that. And on the other side, I'm doing something on tech for good. So how we can use technology, and emergent technology in particular, to make a difference. So that will be tied into social global goals in particular. So around global citizenship as well.
Right. Okay, a lot of changes happening in the sector.
Oh yeah, absolutely, very, very, very fast paced. And one of the things I always really keen to is almost building foresight to what people are doing, and helping people select carefully and to integrate the latest technology into what they're doing on a selective basis. Right. Yeah.
So exciting times ahead.
Oh, absolutely, definitely. Yeah, really, really glad to be at the forefront of that.
Just to sort of finish off, Sally, for me, in terms of apprenticeships and any sort of advice, say maybe for parents who might think the fact that apprenticeship is maybe a second-rate qualification, and maybe from a young person as well, in terms of looking at the apprenticeship route, just to sort of give the last sort of words of advice. And
Really, what I would say is, always listen to the young person involved. I think from a very young age, people either have a strong vocational interest in what they want to do, or if not, I think you can talk through a process to look at where your skills are, where your interests are, and try and marry those together, and really show an interest. Talk about your experiences, because I think we've all experienced things as we've journeyed through our careers. I think it's great to pass that on, but really encourage young people to go out, talk to people who've taken the different routes themselves, and you can learn from their experiences. Just keep asking questions, try and find a mentor, and try and do some tasters, because there's some great opportunities to taste really these. But certainly these are all equally valid routes, whether it's higher education, further education, straight apprenticeship, or a hybrid model. There's not one size fits all, and there's no hierarchy here that I see at all.
Okay.
I think the opposite.
I did say it was the last question, but I'm just going to ask you one more, if I
That's
may.
okay.
Just in terms of your thoughts on volunteering and
Yes.
giving your time. You give a lot of time as well, as and you're obviously very established in your own career, but you're giving a lot of time. You're giving it back.
Yes.
But say somebody's starting off in their career,
Sure.
they have this thought about, I need to do something for myself first before I
Sure.
give back.
Sure.
Any thoughts on volunteering, the whole concept of volunteering?
Well, I think, to be honest with you, being involved in particularly a local community from a volunteering point of view will actually feed back in what you're doing in the early part of your career anyway, because I think you do develop some absolutely amazing relationships. Some of my greatest friendships, and in fact it's funny actually, you meet people when you're doing volunteering, and then X amount of time down the line, you may well even have an opportunity to work together later on anyway. So I do think that can happen, but I think the relationship building, the soft skills that you develop through volunteering as well, will all pay back into what you're doing in your career in any case. So I think it's a reciprocal cycle in that sense.
Let me just add to that. I mean, sorry, I did say it was the last one, but let me ask you another one as well. I mean, we do a lot of networking, Sally. I mean, we're a networking organisation, Pathway to Grow, Coffee Night, all of these networking brands out there. I mean, how is networking, what's your perception of networking per se? Business networking, is there a place in it? Is there a value in terms of actually going out and meeting people? And
absolutely. Without any hesitation. I think it's important. As much as I absolutely advocate the use of online media, and it's something I do a lot myself, I think the face-to-face is essential, and I think it's great to take a relationship to the next level, and you can do things on Skype, on the phone, on online media or whatever, but I think you just get something different. It's like what we're doing now talking to each other, in terms of cementing that, and I think the socialisation is critical. I think networking events are fantastic for that, and you can have serendipitous conversations as well that you would never expect it to happen, which I think is great.
Sally, you're very big on social media. You talked about the fact that people are tweeting you all the time and so forth. Just share with us in terms of, firstly, how you use social media, and then secondly, how people can contact you via social media or whatever platform you prefer.
Okay, yeah, sure, yeah, absolutely. I do use online media a lot, and obviously advise on that. And I find it a real joy, and I think the greatest thing really is community building. That's the way I use it the most, in terms of engaging with people and being the same online as offline. Community, yeah, absolutely. Community and collaboration, for me, are the key words with social media. I really advocate Twitter, because I think it's almost like a knowledge broker between the other platforms.
It's so easy to connect somebody, isn't it?
It really is. It just takes the barriers down. And I think if you treat it in the right way, you can have amazing conversations that are completely, it's so transparent as well. There aren't the barriers that you get with some other platforms. So yeah, I really advocate that, and yeah, I'm very active on that. So by all means, have a chat with me at Sally Eaves, and obviously I'm available on all the other platforms as well, Facebook and LinkedIn, etc., etc. So yeah, and I've got some exciting web developments that are coming in the next 2 weeks as well, which will be a lot of live work. So I'm getting really involved into social video, which I would also really advocate getting involved in and having a go, and not being afraid, because I think that's the other thing with social media. There can be the fear factor of delving in, particularly with the new developments, but I would say, try it. And I think as long as you're authentic, as long as you're yourself, you don't have to have a polished, but it doesn't have to be a performance as such. It's about being authentic.
Okay, so the best way to find you is through your Twitter account, Sally Eaves?
Yeah, at Sally Eaves. That's
Eaves.
it, yeah. And then I can direct people from there, because all the other information is quite accessible, yeah. Or LinkedIn, for example, yeah.
Okay. Sally, it's always a pleasure meeting with you.
Oh, thank you.
I've learned a lot today myself as well, as always.
Fantastic.
Thank you very much for your time.
Real pleasure.
Really appreciate that. Thank you, Sally.
Pleasure.